DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 11-game slate here, and looking at DraftKings. I mean, the pricing is up and down. I mean, it's okay on tonight's slate, and I think given that there's not really expensive pitching, you're kind of okay with sneaking some guys in there.
For sure. Yeah. The pitching is kind of all over the place. I do like some of the higher end options, but at the same time there are some pay downs. So kind of like just your average slate, middle 11 games, some night, some day, just kind of
Could have been
all over the
worse. Could have been worse. Could have been better.
could have been worse. We've had much worse. We've had much better. It's just,
Yeah,
you're just that slate, bro.
here we go. White Sox and Twins, and looking at this game, I think there's a good amount of value in this one. One thing to note, if Todd Frazier's out of the lineup again, he was scratched. That kind of is a big downgrade to this White Sox offense. But if he's in, I like him going up against the lefty Malone with his power.
Yeah, definitely like that. And in terms of Tim Anderson, he is a little more pricey here, but I still like his price quite a bit. In terms of Adam Eaton, yeah. And if he's not in there, it kind of makes that White Sox back end of the lineup look really gross. He kind of hides a lot of that by being fifth there. But without him there, it's really ugly.
Yeah, he definitely does. And I think looking at that lineup, I mean, we talked about this on FanDuel, that back half just ugly without him kind of sitting in that fifth or sixth spot.
Yeah.
The Twins, I mean, I like their prices quite a bit. I mean, I like a Vargas at 3.4. I like a Sano at 3.6. I don't even mind a Dozier here. Kepler, I mean, a little pricey, but I think if you are going with a stack, he certainly fits in.
Yeah, if you're going with a stack, but that's probably the only time I'm going to use Kepler. Solid play, obviously, that's why he's priced up. But at the same time, I'm not totally comfortable with that. I'd rather just go with Sano, Dozier, or Vargas, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I think price considered there a little bit easier to accommodate.
Mm-hmm.
A's and Indians here, and I like the Rajai Davis price tag against the lefty more so here on DraftKings at 4.3. That's a much milder price than where he was over on FanDuel.
Yeah, definitely. These prices are pretty tame for what they've been doing to us with the Indians of late. You're not seeing any everyone over 5K lineups, so you do like that. I think Jose Ramirez, Carlos Santana groupings in play again. And like you mentioned, Rajai Davis is a pretty reasonable price.
Yeah, I definitely don't mind the right-handed bats against Overton. I mean, a lot of upside. I think, Indians projected for over 5 runs.
Mm-hmm. Napoli, a nice high upside first baseman as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's only one team or one other team that's projected for 5 runs. I mean, the Dodgers are closing in on that, but the Rangers are that team. So I do think the Indians kind of come in as a top team target.
Definitely.
Oakland's side, I mean, here I still like that there's some power potential with the Reddick, Davis, and Vogt. I mean, I think more so I'm intrigued with Chris Davis, just given Tomlin struggled more so with righties than he has against lefties. But I just like the home run upside potential. I mean, I think there's really a lot there.
I don't think I can do that Reddick price at 47, but I do like Davis and Vogt, and Smolinski's all right as well.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, the Reddick price tag is a little bit more out of my range. I think if I was going a stack wise, I think I'd put him in. But I think as far as one-offs go, it's more the other guys.
Yeah, and I guess the question is, would you be stacking them in tournaments tonight?
I think so. I think I can make a case for doing it just because I don't think many will. And obviously, I think there is some home run potential. I mean, obviously, Progressive Field isn't a huge upgrade, but it's better than hitting at home. I don't know. I could get behind it, I think, on the slate where, there's a lot of focal points as far as offense goes. It would be a nice swerve.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call in terms of swerving.
Houston and Detroit here next. And looking at the Houston prices, I mean, I might take a shot at a Carlos Correa at 4K in tournaments. And as we talked about on FanDuel, I mean, it's just more kind of being really contrarian to kind of use Houston.
Yeah. Yeah, again, if you're using them, you're going against the grain. It's kind of a leverage play on Verlander. So I don't know if you actually want to stack this group, but if you want to do a one-off, like you mentioned, Correa is a really nice price. Springer as well. So I'm okay with doing one-offs. I wouldn't stack with how sort of, I mean, Altuve 5,200. That's too expensive for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. For me, it would be with a Correa or Springer if I was doing a one-off.
Yeah.
As far as the Tigers bats go, I mean, everyone outside of Miguel Cabrera is at a really nice price tag. And given that Fires is a reverse splits guy, I mean, 1.44 homers per nine to righties since last year, 343 WOBA allowed. Hard not to like a Kinsler, Maben, Castellanos, Upton repeat of last night where you see some upside. I mean, Cabrera's expensive here. He's one of those guys I like more on FanDuel, but I don't mind him in play here as well.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with that. Kind of looking at Kinsler, Castellanos, and Upton, even a Victor Martinez. I think those are all really reasonable prices. And as you mentioned, the power potential's there. So 4.5 runs, but at the same time, I think there's a high ceiling there.
Yep, I definitely agree. Phillies and Braves, and I know you were looking at Jace Peterson in 3K, really nice price tag for him, leading off against Hellickson. And I don't mind picking on Hellickson with some of those lefties, given his struggles, and I don't mind the Freddie Freeman price tag here.
Yeah, definitely like Freddie Freeman at 42. Still more of a tournament guy than cash guy for me, but at the same time, I think you can look at a few of these lefties and maybe do a Freeman or Peterson stack. Just a mini stack with those two or something like that. But other than that, I mean, obviously you're not going too hard at the
No,
Braves.
no, I don't think so either. And as far as the Phillies go, I mean, I'm staying away even at their cheap price tags. It's 11 game slate. Why do that to myself?
I just want like Odubel Herrera at like 3,100, and then I'll just play him every night.
You know, you can't play God, Russell. I mean, you can't just drop down Double Herrera, the Phillies' best hitter, too.
Give me 1,100 off, and I'm just in every night. I feel like that's how I've been feeling on him for a few weeks now. Just 1,100 off, and he's a cash game guy, you know.
Moving on to the next game here, Marlins and Cardinals. Jaime Garcia versus Colin Rea, and it's always the Cardinals' price difference with Diaz between FanDuel and DraftKings, but I still don't mind him here. It is a lot more with Diaz. I mean, he's still value on FanDuel.
If you want to play Cardinals, just play FanDuel. You know, I feel like that's just how you play it now. You just play FanDuel. That's fine. I mean, you can do it as a tournament, like Swerve, but I don't think it is viable in tournaments, but I don't see it as like 5,100's a lot, man.
Yeah, I mean, I still like him, but yeah, I mean, the price is really much more of a downside to your remaining salary than on FanDuel. As far as the stack goes, though, I don't mind it because I think the other guys are underpriced quite a bit against Rea. I mean, I don't mind Piscotty or Holiday. I don't mind the Adams price tag as well.
Yeah, no, I like a lot of the other prices. I think Piscotty is a really nice value there. As you mentioned, Matt Adams, more of a tournament guy, but even a Greg Garcia, I know you said you're not diving down into that malarkey, but I might be.
Malarkey, huh?
I think, yeah, malarkey. I'm from the 1980s. Didn't you know that?
You've been hanging out with Joe Biden a little too
much. Joe Biden. Oh my God. So I think if you play Piscotty and Garcia, that kind of puts Diaz into a little more play there. But overall, that's an uncomfortable price.
Yeah, it is up there. As far as the Marlins go, I mean, Stanton's a little expensive, but I think for me, I don't mind him still in tournaments. I don't mind Ozuna as well at 3.9, but obviously Ozuna, if you're looking for value, I don't mind him one bit.
Yeah, Stanton, Ozuna, and log out.
Log out, huh?
Yeah.
That dialed in?
Yeah, you just put those two in your lineups, enter the tournament, and sign out.
Okay, tournament, yes. Okay, so it's not like you're starting cash games off with them.
Just those two.
Yeah.
Nobody else in the lineup. Just
literally just a two-man stack of some sorts, and you're hitting out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll hit submit and they'll just tell you error, and you're just going to send an email like, hey, I just want to put
No,
you in Zoom.
no, you ignore the error and you still just sign out.
So you never even made it in. I like them quite a bit. I mean, I think there is some reasonable upside, but it's really just limited to those two, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
So, look at the next game here. You got the Pirates and Brewers, and I like the Pirates bats, but good Lord. I mean, Polanco 5.3, Marte 5.5. It's expensive. I don't mind it as a stack still, but I think I kind of prefer a McCutcheon as far as a one-off goes, and same thing with Kang.
I weirdly still want to do Polanco as a one-off in a tournament, but it's just so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. I don't want to pay 5.3 for Polanco, but I might have to anyway. I think that stack's in play. I can't help what the heart feels. It's a good matchup for them. The prices are obviously ridiculous, but I'm in on it still. As a contrarian tournament move, I don't think a lot of people are going to be in on it, but I really like it still.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think a full stack's definitely worth a look in that ballpark, and especially given the majority of those guys are right-handers. You like the matchup with Anderson. I mean, 367 WOBA to righties, 1.58 home runs per nine since last season. It's hard to pass up in Miller Park. If this was in PNC, maybe I'd take a little bit of a deeper look in elsewhere, but there is some strong upside here.
For sure.
And as far as the Brewers go, I mean, I don't mind the Villar and Gannett prices here, 3.5 and 4.2. I think it's a little bit easier to accommodate. We talked about this where it's a possibility Ryan Braun sits, a possibility Lucroy could sit again. And this lineup would become very ugly.
Yeah, very ugly, very quickly. So you do like Talion. If both those guys are out somehow, he might not be cash, but he is drifting towards that area. Yeah, he's drifting there. So I do like that quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I see myself using him. So with that regards, I mean, if they were to, it takes a little bit of the shine off of Villar and Gannett there with nobody really behind them. So moving up next game here, we got the Rockies and Mets, and I'm in love with the prices for these guys as far as taking some shots within GPPs. We can start with kind of the Rockies, all very, very cheap as far as Blackman and Cargo go. Arenado at 4K, Story 4.9 is the only one who's a little bit out of reach. And a David Dahl at 2.2. I mean, if you want to completely punt, I don't hate it. He's got some upside.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, 2.2. I mean, obviously you gotta like that price, and like you mentioned, the lefty versus righty. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with Blackman and Cargo at these prices. Obviously, you're not liking what Vegas is saying about this team, but I think they're fair to go at Cologne with. And as I mentioned on all the other pods today, it might be a Cespedes night. Even at 5K, I think I'm still willing to throw him in quite a few lineups.
Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement. I think he's a good guy to kind of pay up for. I don't mind a Wilmer Flores or a Neil Walker as well. Walker's had some it's an odd year because he's been actually crushing lefties, so I don't mind him at that price tag.
Yeah, I like that call as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that could be a game that could get sneaky as far as offense goes. Royals and Rangers next here. Ian Kennedy vs. Martin Perez. I like the Rangers. I mean, we talked about Pro Farm Azar, and there's still value here, but I also like Desmond and Beltre. Those prices as well. As far as on FanDuel, they were a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, I'm full game stack mode on this team tonight. I think there's a ton of potential here. Not saying you have to go that way, but I think that is in play for sure. The 1 through 5 there. Pro Farm Azar, gotta love those prices as you mentioned. Desmond and Beltre also. Even righty, you still like Beltre's power and you like Desmond's power. So they're all in play. We obviously like the lefties. Yeah, this is just a really good matchup for them.
Yeah, I mean, in that ballpark, it's extremely friendly for hitters. I think it's really intriguing as far as you mentioned, a full game stack goes. And I do like the lefties. I mean, Kennedy really struggles with left-handed bats, and we saw that kind of remotely where he's been over the last few years. It doesn't matter. The fact that he's given up 18 home runs on the road this season is something that I'm like, okay, there's probably going to be a ton of home runs here from this Texas team.
That's what I'm thinking. And if you get two or three from a, a 5-person stack, you're looking pretty good there. So, while the full game stack's a little contrarian, I do like at least 3 or 4. I think that's definitely in play here.
Yeah, definitely. And on the Royal side, I mean, I do think they're a sneaky stack tonight. I do think they're good plays as one offs. The Lorenzo Kane's a little up there in price at 5K, but he was on FanDuel as well. I still
Yeah.
like him, and I do think I'm hoping that he goes a little bit lower on. But I mean, we go back to last year. I mean, he was a guy. I mean, against Southpaws, you were playing kind of night in and night out, and I think this could be the case again. And against Perez, I mean, I really don't mind guys like Cuthbert, Kane, Morales, Perez. I think that's a nice kind of 4-person stack there.
You could make a weird Cespedes Kane lineup and actually feel pretty good about it, I think.
I think so too. I mean, pitching isn't really that expensive tonight.
Yeah,
So I do think you can kind of work some guys in.
for sure.
So, Reds and Padres next. Christian Frederick versus Anthony Descalfani. Some of the prices here are a little bit off for me on this red side, but I definitely don't mind them still against the lefty. I mean, Cozart a nice price at 4-2. I think I'm going to probably pass on Votto and Bruce though.
Yeah, I'm just in terms, especially in terms of the outfielders. There's plenty of options, even in paying up for outfielders tonight that I'd feel better than Bruce with. So, I think you just go with Duvall if you're looking for someone in that lineup, and a Cozart as well. Those are the two I'm really zoning in on from this lineup, obviously, especially from a value perspective.
Yeah, definitely. And Brandon Phillips at 3-2 isn't that bad either. I mean, he's hit
Mm,
lefties at a decent rate. And obviously, Petco's not the friendliest for right handed power, but I mean, you shoot a gap at that price and a couple runs, couple RBIs, you're fine.
for sure.
The Padres side, Schimpf still in play for me at 3-3. I think there is obviously a lot of potential with some power. And then obviously the Matt Kemp and Will Myers prices still aren't that bad. So for me, the Padres lineup is really just limited to about 3 players.
And it's kind of meh at that for those prices. I mean, obviously you like Kemp Myers, but this is more of a deeper tournament move than anything else. And I don't even know how much exposure I'm going to have.
Yeah, definitely. The Padres are not a full
No,
go kind of GPP type atmosphere tonight.
I think they're more of a fade than a tournament play, but I can understand the logic behind the deep tournament play.
Red Sox and Angels next year. Drew Pomeranz versus Hector Santiago. The Bogarts price, I mean, 5K about 4.9. I mean, that's up there. Hanley, 4.4. I mean, the guy's hit lefties very well. I mean, he's hit the ball hard in this series. I mean, nothing has really dropped for him, but that power has really come around, and I like him quite a bit.
Yeah, back and forth. Maybe Ortiz is out of the lineup. You definitely like that. You definitely like Bogart still, even though he's priced up. I mean, I'm looking at Pedroia, and while he's the least appealing of the front there, the front bats, I mean, 39, you can't really beat that.
Yeah, not a bad price tag for him. And I do think, I mean, I'm in agreement. Out of those four, he's the less appealing, but he's also the least expensive.
Right.
And I think just being in the mix of those front four hitters is going to get some decent run production. So I'm fine with them. I guess if you look at the back end of the lineup, I mean, you're obviously going to get guys like Aaron Hill and Bryce Brents who do have some power against lefties. I don't mind them as punt plays either.
Yeah, solid punts. I mean, both 27 or below. So you like that. They are certainly tournament one-offs for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And on the Angels side, I mean, I'm not really intrigued with anyone at those prices. I mean, Trout at 4.7, you can always make a case for him, but Pomeranz, I mean, above average left-hander, I don't see a ton of production.
No, I think this is a night you can take off from Trout.
Yeah, I think so too. Dodgers and Diamondbacks here, and for me, I mean, it's the same thing for the Diamondbacks. I really like Ricky Weeks, Wellington Castillo at their prices, and then Goldschmidt. I mean, once again, kind of priced up, but still against the lefty. I mean, he's always worth a price tag under 5K for me.
Yeah, I agree. Solid price tag for him. Decent upside. I am worried about the stacking. I'm more of a one-off guy from that lineup, if anything, tonight. But Definitely understand the logic behind potentially going in a contrarian way after Casimir.
Yeah, definitely. I know you're a little bit more hesitant on this. I think I'm more in on going up
Yeah.
against Casimir, kind of leading the
Hmm.
charge against them. You're
But
more
again,
like,
I think that's going in your favor because I don't think it's going to be high owned because I think a lot of people are going to be looking at it like I do, you know?
that's true. I mean, obviously not the greatest ballpark to hit in, but I still think at their prices, there's a ton of power.
Hmm.
And just given their track records, I mean, you know, I am with you. I think obviously an 11 game season. I think if this was 6 or 7 games, their ownership would be higher.
Yes.
But given that
But
it's 11,
I think Goldschmidt might still sneak into that 10 to 15%. But even at that, it's still Goldschmidt against a lefty at 10 to 15%, you know?
I think Castillo could be chalky. I think Weeks might get overlooked. But Castillo could be chalky just given the price. I mean, that's
Hmm.
cheap for a catcher who does match left-handers.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think Weeks is probably going to be the lowest owned, and obviously be sure to double check the lineup if he's in, but he should be.
Hmm.
So Dodgers, not as great of a value here on DraftKings. I mean, Turner and Seager are both priced over 5K. I still don't mind the Dodgers. I mean, it's a great matchup against Shipley, who doesn't miss a ton of bats and looked a little bit lost in that front one. So I don't mind them here, but obviously they're not the steals that they were over on FanDuel.
Give me Seager and Turner, though. I still like them quite a bit, and I think Utley's in play as well at 39. So I'm definitely firing away with them. Not cash, but definitely a tournament stack for me.
Yeah, me too. And I don't mind a Yasmani Grandal at 3.6 either.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad for the catcher position, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting swerve away from Castillo and
Mhm.
Vogt and that kind of field there. So that's going to wrap things up here with the DK Daily Trot. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for our great tools and content.